Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Axel's Garage. I wasn't planning on making a video today. It's the end of the day. I'm hot and sweaty. We've been working around the house, in the yard. And I said, you know what, we got the IROC out of hibernation, took the cover off it, charged the battery, started it up, put air in the tires, they were a little low. And I said, let me see if we could figure out what's going on with the AC. And once I went to go hook up the gauges, I said, I should make a video on this. So, how the story goes is last spring, and this is May 2021 May, around April, May, June of 2020, I sent it over to a local shop and I said, can you see if you can get the AC working, see what it would take. And a day later, called me up and said, I converted the fittings over to 134, charged it up, and it's good to go. So I don't know what the real condition of it was prior to me giving it to him. I don't know if there was any R12 left in it. I don't know if he sucked all the R12 out, ran a vacuum, did all that stuff. I assume he would have sucked everything out, ran a vacuum, no leaks, charged it with 134, and it was working. So it worked until about the end of August, September, and then it stopped working. It had cooled off a little bit. We didn't really care at that point because the winter was coming, and then the master cylinder went, and we just parked it, put a cover over it, and it went into hibernation for the winter. So now we're getting it out of hibernation. We got to do the master cylinder. I said, let me just see what's going on with the AC, and I go to hook the gauges up. So I hook up the high side, the red hose goes on the valve with no problem, and then I'll show you what happened. I got to take it off, but I'll show you what happened when I went to go hook up the low side. I took the cap off, and when I took the cap off, the fitting for the 134, the 12 to 134 adapter fitting came off with it. So I got the fitting here. The cap was screwed into the fitting so tight that when I went to unscrew the cap, the fitting came off. And when I looked at the fitting's got what looks to be a Schrader valve inside there, right? And the original R12 fitting still has the Schrader valve on it. So now, from the research I've done, and I'm new to playing with air conditioning, the research I've done was that if your adapter fittings come with Schrader valves, you should take the Schrader valves out of your R12 fittings. Now, I don't know how true that is or not. So what I did was I unscrewed the Schrader valve that's in here, and it's sort of a weird looking Schrader valve. I think this might be just this one, because it doesn't look like a full Schrader valve. I'll show you. I have a feeling that this valve, this is the valve, you can see that. I have a feeling that this valve is intended for use leaving the old Schrader valve in. So I unscrewed this and I screwed it back in to make sure it's nice and tight. And when I put this fitting on, it leaks. So there was my leak. Easy to find my leak. So I screwed this in all the way, and I guess that's why the cap was on so tight, because maybe it was leaking a little bit, and the cap's got an O-ring in it, and maybe he screwed the cap on so tight so that it wouldn't leak. So what I did was I screwed it on really fast. It was leaking. I mean a big leak, but not like it was spraying all over the place. And then I put my gauge set on to stop the leak, so that I could check the pressures that I had, and I have about 5 pounds in the system. So what I'm thinking is, my thought is that we're going to be able to take this, I'm going to be able to screw it on, seal it up once I put the low pressure side on from the gauge set, and I think what we're going to do, and I'm making sure my O-ring is down all the way, I think what we're going to do is we're going to be able to charge it up, and then I'm going to take this fitting that leaks off and leave it with the R12 fitting, because the R12 fitting does not leak. I think he might have used an old fitting that he had laying around the shop, because this thing, if you look at the sides of it, it's awful beat up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get this on and my gauge set on so it doesn't leak out the rest of what's in it. I mean, it's not spraying all over the place, so I think we'll be all right. it's so beat up I can't even get a wrench on it. See, when I get it in, it starts leaking. So now if I put my gauge set on, that stops the leak. And now I don't hear a leak anymore. All right, we're losing the light. I had to run the kids somewhere. Now, I'm hooked up. I got 5 pounds. So I'm not completely empty. Not leaking. I think, I'm not an AC guy by any means, so I got cans of 134A. They're the Walmart cans that self-steal, so you got to use this adapter. All right, so I think I can get some in. Oh. I guess I should check and make sure everything's tight. All right, I got this can in. I'll bleed it. So because I have a little pressure, I don't think that there's any sense in running a vacuum on it because there's still pressure on the system. So even though there's a leak that hopefully we'll be able to stop, the system never was technically open to the atmosphere because, well, because it never emptied out completely. So let me run a can in. I'm putting it in upside down as a liquid. Because this is feeding right into the accumulator. And so it looks like it's almost all in. I'm going to start the car up and maybe the compressor will suck the rest of it in if I can find the key. Alright, so the compressor is clicking on and off. Goes up to 50 on the low side and down to about 28. Now the compressor's staying on. My high side's up to 250, but my fan's not coming on. It's hot out right now. It's about 85 degrees and a lot of humidity. Alright, so this can is pretty much done. Turn that off. Apparently, my mechanic changed the orifice tube because I just found the old one in the car sitting in the engine compartment. There it was. This system, the decal says the system takes 2.25 pounds of R12. To be honest, I don't know what that translates into 134. A can. In a little at a time, trying to see what the compressor's doing. The auxiliary fan's still not coming on, which is going to drive the high side up from what I can tell. Not getting that extra airflow for some evaporator. But if I could get it charged at least, then I could start troubleshooting the auxiliary fan. The compressor is still turning on and off. I'm thinking to get the low side to about 32. Maybe a little on the high side of 30, right above 30, because when I take it off, I'm going to lose just a hair. I don't know how much it's going to correlate. That's what I'm thinking. Doesn't mean it's going to work, that's just what I'm thinking. I tried to bang on the fan motor to get the auxiliary fan to turn on, it didn't work. I'm about 32, 33 on the low and it's holding. Compressor's not turning on or off. I am right at 200 on the high. I think I'm okay. Let me check my temperatures inside the car. Alright, so outside right now. See if that shows up there. 61 coming out of the vent. Not great. But not getting good airflow through the condenser could be an issue. Only got one fan going still. I'm going to give it a little bit more and see if that changes my interior temperature. So I brought it up to 35 psi on the low. High didn't change. Alright, that brought me down several degrees. I'm like 58. So I'm going to keep giving it a little bit until I can't see any change. I'm going to go back and forth. We'll see what happens. Alright. I put the second coke can in. I got just on the low side of 40, 38 to 40 on the low side. And I'm at 225 on the high side. Still no auxiliary fan going. And I got down to 57.4. And I hit the lock on my thing and it didn't lock. It locked and then I must have hit it again. I screwed it up. Anyway, I think I'm okay. 88 degree day or evening. Thick, it's thick and humid. I think I'm good now. If I could get that fitting off without losing too much, that's going to be the key. Got the fitting off without losing a drop by just keep on turning it because it spins in here. So we didn't lose a drop on that, which is nice. High side off. I'm going to call that a success. You know, 57 degrees or so on a day like this, sitting here idling without the auxiliary fan going. Success for a guy that doesn't do AC. This is the second time I've had these gauges on a car, and knock wood, my second success. We will bring you along when we change that fitting over there, the next video, but that's it, a quick IROC AC video for you. We haven't had the IROC, haven't done a video on the IROC in quite some time, and my wife is itching with the nice weather here to start driving it. So that's it tonight from Axel's Garage. Questions, comments, concerns down below, and as always, thanks for watching.